Right. Welcome back, Listing Queens. I am here with another amazing human being. Our last male who, again, I usually just do a girl thing, but I found these particular guys who would give you great value. So Justin Stoddart, how are you? Welcome.
Thank you. And by the way, I've got 4 daughters, so I know a thing or two about treating women like queens. So at least
Well,
I'm in training anyway.
I appreciate that. And I will tell you that one of the things that intrigued me about you was that you are, I'm going to tell you everything that this man is, but what I love is he's a husband and a father of 6. That is no small feat. So I love it. So 4 of those children are girls. All right. He's also the CEO of Think Bigger Real Estate, the CEO of Pro Insight. He's a coach and consultant and an author of the top-selling book, The Upstream Model. We're going to talk about all of that, or as much as we can in our brief time together. Here's where I want to start, Justin. The Upstream Model is the model to get warm leads, right? And can you just tell us what that, your book is based around?
Yeah, so I'll put it up here kind of as a visual. It's probably over my shoulder as well. But I believe strongly, I think as do many others, that warm referrals are better than cold leads. And the really only problem we have with warm referrals is we often run out of them before we get to our biggest goals. And so we're forced to either A, settle and say, well, I'm going to be a warm market only, or we then go pursue cold market leads, which for a very warm market centered person, that tends to be a little out of sorts for them, right? A little out of their DNA. And so they have to either hire additional help. And so what I teach is a way to really grow and scale a warm market business that isn't just reliant upon your sphere and your clients. It opens the door to make strategic referral partnerships with other professionals in neighboring industries, like tax professionals, like financial advisors, like attorneys, et cetera, that allow you to tap into their warm market. So you're still getting referrals, but a lot more of them than just relying upon those you already know today.
Love it. Love it. All right. So, and I like it because you're moving upstream. And I consider, and I think I've seen written about you that you want to disrupt the industry. And can you tell us a little bit about your growing up? Because I think that is your whole background, if you can share as succinctly as possible for our women to understand what you're bringing, what expertise you're bringing to your coaching and your teaching.
You bet. So I was a land developer and home builder for the first decade of the century. Sounds funny saying it that way. Yeah, built high-end custom homes. I had been trained by another general contractor who was great and was very charismatic. And I learned how to build a good home under his tutelage. When he began to focus on land development almost entirely, I took over his custom home business and eventually bought him out and left and started my own business. And I just assumed that it would be just as easy to get new clients as he had made it appear. And I quickly realized that it was a whole new leg of the business, if not an entirely new business in and of itself, of how to get new clients, not just how to serve clients. And I think probably most real estate agents that are listening to this can probably relate to that, is that I can serve clients really well when they're in front of me, but it's how do I get more clients? And that becomes a big challenge for many agents. And that was me. That's exactly how I felt. And I realized, being very much a relationship-based person, that I wanted to get warm referrals as opposed to cold leads. But also I was 25 at the time and my friends were 25 at the time. They were not building $1 million homes. And so my network was very limited. So I joined a kind of a common business networking group that met early in the mornings. And even they were somewhat limited in how much they could help me, even though they had really good intentions on doing so. And I realized that there was a professional in the marketplace who could help me in a really big way. And as a home builder, that professional was an architect. And an architect, all of his current clients were going to need a builder next. And so through that one relationship, if done correctly, would open up the door to lots of warm referrals. And so I first went about it and stubbed my toe, and it didn't work because I came in as a common builder there to get referrals. And it was very one-sided, and it was friendly, it was cordial, it was a good idea. It's what everybody had taught as far as how you get referrals from other professionals, but it didn't work. I think that's where most people get, is they're like, I love the idea of having one referral partner that sends me multiple deals per month. That'd be amazing. But we go into it using the same principles that we've been taught to nurture our sphere, and they just don't work in the same way that they do with our sphere. And so there's a new model that needs to be put in place to really create these strategic partnerships that allow you to start to get recurring referrals from professionals. So that's what I uncovered as a home builder, then brought it into the real estate industry. And now I get to coach and teach that to professionals, not just in the real estate industry, but also outside of the real estate industry.
Yeah, I noticed that, but I love that you're in real estate, because then we can take advantage of your expertise. So I love that you're vulnerable, right? You said, I tried this, it didn't work,
Yeah.
But the beauty and the fact that you're a CEO, which is what I call any entrepreneur who actually takes their business seriously, which is all these women, these thousands of women listening in this Listing Queen Summit. And that is that we evaluate when we take action and we don't get what we want. And then we just tweak it, right? And then we move forward. So I know I want everybody to buy your book, but can you just share with us maybe a framework of what the Upstream model looks like?
Yeah, you bet. So I'll start by telling you what the framework's not, which is a very common phrase that works, I would say, pretty well, if not really well, when it's with our sphere, which is, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referrals. Now, I love the man who says that. I think many people do. And it works. Again, it's designed for a B2C environment. In other words, you're the business and you're marketing to friends and family. But when you're now talking to another business owner, that's not that helpful. And so, but many agents, they'll use that same model that's designed for their sphere, they'll apply it to business model, and so it doesn't work. And so it's not that. It's not a matter of just identifying a potential referral partner and going and using the same tactics that we use with our sphere. So here's what it is that step number one is we do need to identify who is the ideal client avatar that we want to be serving. Is it first-time home buyers? Is it people who are retiring and simplifying life? Is it people who are selling their final home and they're really looking to move into more of a care center? Like who is it that we're uniquely positioned based on what we've done in the past, based on our unique skills and talents? Who are we uniquely designed to market to and to help and to serve? As soon as we find that person, then we can simply ask ourselves the question of who are the professionals that are already serving that person, who already have a relationship with. And once we identify that professional, that's really step one. Mm-hmm. Step two is to seek a warm introduction to that professional. It's not going to work very well in a warm market scenario if we're cold calling into these professionals, because it just takes a lot of time to win trust. And sometimes it's hard to overcome that kind of stigma of being a, kind of cold market, cold calling in. So the best way is to seek a warm introduction in which we craft what's said about us so that we sound different and better than the common listing agent. Mm-hmm. That's step two. Step three is to meet with them, not to solicit, not to ask for referrals, but to come in as a peer, as a fellow business owner who serves the same clientele that they do, and to listen for obstacles, to listen for goals, to really walk out of there having them feel like they met with a peer, not a solicitor, not a vendor, but to really walk out of there with also identifying what is it that they, like what's a bottleneck in their business right now. Then step four is to circle back and add some sort of value to that bottleneck through an introduction or through an idea. And we're really auditioning now to become a part of their business, which, by the way, is the key. If we want their business, we need to become a part of their business. Mm-hmm. So that's step four, is to actually add value to a pain point that we uncovered when we met with them. And then step five is to add value to their clients through their client experience. So that could come in the form of a CMA for a financial advisor when they're going to meet with their clients. That financial advisor then shares that CMA with his clients, not to promote us, but to add value to his clients, which happens to create a really unique conversation in the middle of their annual wealth review and brings us top of mind and tip of tongue at the moment that advisor uncovers the fact that his clients are going to be buying or selling in the coming year.
I love it. Oh my gosh, it's so strategic, and it really speaks to the leadership, right? Because to be a leader, you need to create opportunities, and you need to do it not on a surface level, right? Because initially what you said you aren't, that's surface level. That's like elementary. Okay. So this is, this is the big leagues. So do you have in the book, or do you have suggestions in terms of almost like not a full dialogue? Because I don't know about you. I didn't know. I don't know how you feel about scripts. I hate scripts. I believe that we give someone a framework, you tell them what it is and why, then they can make it theirs. And that way it'll be super, super effective. So when they are identifying those people who they might be able to serve and in return might be able to give referrals, what's one or two questions that are historically good ones for that?
Yeah. So in that initial meeting, right, which is step 3, a great question is, let's fast forward a year from now. What would make you really excited about where your business is at? And once you identify where they're headed, then you can ask, what's your plan to get there? What initiatives, what projects, what's your focus to be sure that a year from now you are celebrating that growth?
Yeah.
And then the follow-up question to that is, talk to me about what potential obstacles or roadblocks could get in the way of that plan working. And once you identify that, that's the golden nugget, because now you know what's potentially keeping them awake at night. You know what could get in the way. And now your job is to go give value to where that doesn't get in the way. And now they want you in their business. It's not just that you're there because you put a stack of cards on their front desk like that. Guys, that's not the way to do it. That's not helpful. That's not going to work, number one. And number two, you need to actually create loyalty with the person who has the ability to transfer trust to you through one introduction. So you go to work for them to solve their problems, not trying to get them to go to work for you by, here's a stack of cards, please pass these out to your clients. That's super selfish. I know we don't think of it that way, but it's very selfish. It's saying, look, I'm not going to hire a salesperson. I'm hoping you'll do it for me. I'm not going to pay you a commission. I'm not going to but would you pass these out to your clients? And we think that we're doing people a service. And now keep in mind that people aren't mad at you for doing that, but they're definitely not overly impressed. It's just simply you're a common vendor here to solicit your services to somebody else. So therefore it doesn't work. So stop doing that and actually go to work for them instead of trying to get them to go to work for you.
Yes. And that is really, you mentioned business networking. I was a member of BNI and it was good for me because I worked it, right? Well over almost 2 decades ago. Okay. So my question would be this, because I'm thinking about our audience. So our audience of women realtors will either be those who are making about $50,000 and they want to hit their first $100,000 a year, or they are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, and they're teetering on burnout. They're people pleasing and have some systems. So they might be thinking, love it, but, and then all of a sudden fear starts throwing in. And one of them that I can think of, and I was hoping that you could speak to this, how you work through this in your mind with, what if I don't feel like I'm enough to even offer such feedback, or how dare I think that I can insert, myself into them and be like, hey, tell me about your goals for the next, X number of years. And what are your holes that, your gaps? Talk to me about that.
I think when we have that thought, we have the belief that if we ask the question, we have to have the answer right away. Like we don't have to solve it in that very moment. We're simply a curious peer. We're someone who is a fellow business owner as well. And we're just uncovering where they're at, right? We're not saying that we're the end all be all and that we have all the answers, right? That's going to be a follow-up. Right now, in some situations, it may make sense to say, you know what? I struggled with that as well, or I am struggling with that. Here's what I'm doing to fix that. Here's what I'm doing to work through that. That could be very relevant to mention in the moment. But oftentimes you'll walk out with just, here's where they're headed. Here's the plan. And here's the obstacle that we're facing, right? When it gets to that core level of like the obstacle, now you can leave that meeting and go to work to say, who do they need to meet that I might already know? Or what do they need to know that either I do know or that I could know? And once we get that, it's not about the resources that we have or positioning ourselves to be like the cure-all for all things that aren't quite right in business. We're simply saying, I care about this relationship enough to put some effort into it.
Yes, I love that.
And then we can circle back to say, hey, I was thinking about our conversation yesterday, and there's somebody who is in my network who might be of value to you. They've solved this for other people as well. Would you be open to an intro? Would it be helpful if I made an intro? And even if they say no, just the fact that you did that puts you ahead of everybody else, because nobody else circles back. Maybe they circle back to say, hey, thanks for the meeting. It was great to meet. Let me know if I can help any of your clients, which again goes back to what's in it for me, as opposed to, I've been thinking about you and what you said, and I have an idea that might be helpful. Again, we're simply auditioning to be a part of their business. We're not auditioning to get anything from them. We're auditioning to be of value to them.
Yes. And I know that when you give, obviously, the law of reciprocity.
Mhm.
So I love that. When you are wanting to take this approach with your business, especially as it relates to being a listing queen, we know that, a large number of people are homeowners. And so it's kind of easy for us to figure this out in terms of who do I know, or who would be a local business person in my local market who I would kind of jive with, right? I mean, because not only do they share my avatar, my ideal, my best client, but I would enjoy hanging out with them, or I would enjoy, because it's a real partnership.
Yeah.
So I guess my question is, I wouldn't imagine that every conversation that you have or every such meeting will be fruitful, because either you just don't like them or you just don't know how to help them. But what are your thoughts as you are explaining this to help women become listing queens in terms of what they can expect as they take action?
I think if you go into the meeting without expectation, right? Sometimes we come in and we feel like if we don't walk out with a referral, that it wasn't time well spent. And I think going into to identify of like, I have resources that I'm going to commit to helping the right professional. I have a network. I'm meeting more people all the time. I'm serving more clients all the time. I'm constantly gaining knowledge. I'm in amazing summits like this where I'm learning things that principles apply across all industries. I have value either now, or I'm resourceful enough that I'll go find value. So it's not like we're there with our hand out saying, oh, I hope they like me enough to give me a referral. We're coming in saying, look, I really want to get to know you. I've heard great things about you. I was recommended to you by one of my clients. I'd love to learn more about you. And that's genuine. We're not just doing it so that we can come back and get something from them. We really want to see, is this a fit? Is this someone who, like you said, that I could spend a little time with, and that I could create a partnership with? And we don't have to say yes to that partnership. We don't have to say, even circle back if it's not the right fit. We'll just say, thank you so much for your time. It's great to meet you. And they're not going to expect anything more of us. But if we find that there's a human connection, and that we feel like we can help them, and we've already identified that their current clients have the potential to be our next clients, then we get to dig in, and then we get to add value. But yeah, I think going in without there being a real expectation that this is going to work, we're going in to see, kind of like we're dating. We're dating to see if this is someone that we could create a business marriage with, not a real partnership, but like a strategic partnership, right? So it's come in and let's learn about each other, right? Let's learn about where you're at.
I love the word you used. I forget now what it was, but like something that speaks to understanding what your intention is going in. That's what I get from what you're saying. Understanding the intention going in, and that similar to a listing appointment, it's not that you're being interviewed, because it's mutual. So okay. So in your book, or perhaps I saw this on a podcast or something, you talk about the cold leads, warm leads, and the alternative market. Can you share with what you mean by that?
Yeah. I mean, I think people typically think of, again, I've got warm leads that are coming from my sphere and my past clients. If I run out of those, I can either say, I guess I'll stop here, right? Or little by little continue to grow my warm sphere, which we know takes time, because relationships take time. That's one bucket. And when ambitious agents get to the end of that first bucket, they say, okay, well, I guess I will go to another bucket. I'll start farming, I'll door knock, I'll buy leads, right? And it's either bucket A or bucket B, bucket 1 or bucket 2. Like, it's just, there's two options. And the third bucket is really that other people have warm relationships, other professionals, and that is the third bucket, that it's still warm. It's just not limited by our sphere and or not limited to our sphere and our past clients. It's their sphere, it's their past clients, to where it's a bigger bucket than our own sphere, and it's still warm.
I love it. And then in terms of collaboration, because that's really what it sounds like, as you become a helper to them, they'll feel compelled to help you. So would you recommend joint VIP parties to make big splashes. Because I call client appreciation parties VIPs, because I don't think you should just invite your past and sphere. I think you should invite the mayor of your town, like all the powers that be in your town, so that people are like, dang, look at this chick. She's really doing it. So talk to me about the extent of the collaboration and relationship that you would think would be a win-win-win.
So I think that I love those ideas, by the way. I think those are fabulous. I think one thing that maybe sets the Upstream model apart slightly from kind of traditional professional networking. Traditional professional networking says, I want to get to know you, I want to like you, and I want to trust you. And here's what this looks like. First, we go to coffee, and then we go to lunch, and then we do golf or something else, right? And then over time, as that friendship develops, now let's talk about business, right? Whereas that most agents don't have the patience for that. And they're looking at a return over a short period of time. And they're like, that just takes a long time. Now, when you're in a BNI group, it's facilitated because you're mandatorily, I don't know if that's a word, together every week for 90 minutes. So where it happens a little bit faster. What I say is, rather than building friendship to see if we can talk about business, it's from the very beginning, we're coming in with enterprise, with business value to say, I'm here. Yes, of course, I'm going to be friendly and I want to know about, personal stuff, but I'm really here to see if there's an opportunity for us to create, if I can add value to you, I want to. And it's established right away, business value, and then let the friendship develop over time. And I think that's sometimes where people tire of the professional network, is because we got to build this long friendship runway before we can ever get the plane off the ground and talk about business. Because I come in and say, let's have a business conversation right up front. And if there's an opportunity to serve each other, then let's let the friendship develop over time. Now we're doing friends with people who are our clients, not just a bunch of friends that a few of them are giving us referrals, which kind of is like how our sphere works, right? So it becomes much more fruitful more quickly, because right away we're jumping right into, I want to bring value to your business. And then I want to give value to your client experience. And it's not because, well, you gave me a referral, so I better give you one now, right? And there's this kind of scorekeeping. It's really, I'm giving value into your client experience, not because it's good for me or not because you want to help me. It's because it's actually good for your clients.
Right.
You're delivering value to your clients that I gave to you because it's good for them, which is good for you. And if the other partner recognizes that this isn't about you give me one, I'll give you one, but like, no, I want to add as much value as I can to your client experience so that you serve your clients better. And so that then I come up in conversation because I helped craft this. That's where the referrals start to get really automatic and happen very quickly, as opposed to taking these long periods of time.
Yes. And the word creativity comes to mind, because you really need to be able to trust yourself, right? Which entrepreneurs, sometimes that's one of the reasons they feel overwhelmed, because as much as it sounds good, then they're like, oh, now it's time to execute. And they pause, right? Or they spin. So I think that I love, and I don't know why I missed it the first time, but I love how you repeated. So thank you. I always talk about repeating with delight to make sure people get it. When you're saying that you as the realtor, you need to really be creative and want to find a way to fill a gap that they have, and or to, almost like the Ritz-Carlton hotel experience, how can I proactively offer a suggestion to this business person as to how I see a value add to their client experience that is uniquely me. It's coming uniquely from me, because let's just get an objection right out on the table. So the agents might say, well, sounds great, but what if such and such already knows 5 other agents, and we always hear that. And so that's where we need to use our creativity and say, okay, but this is a different approach.
Yeah.
Right. It's not the good old boys approach. It's not, the third generation, right? This is like, hey, I'm going to approach these business people as a businesswoman who is a CEO, is an entrepreneur. I just freaking love it. I just think it's amazing.
Well, yeah, your point is spot on. And it's, from the very get-go, we're not looking to just create a friendship, but we're really looking to create real value. And people may say, well, they have another agent that they like that sold their own home. But the other agent, again, has been trained through years of just by default practice to show up as a vendor. And it's like, if they do anything, they're just giving them a stack of cards to say, if your clients ever need a good real estate agent, have them call me.
Yeah.
But they're not actually interjecting themselves into the business of that person to solve problems in that business owner's situation. All of a sudden you cut to the front of the line.
Right. Because you have a compelling something. And you're giving them some meat to grab onto, right? And so therefore you stand out. And I think that in this world where we're in a recession, I'll say the United States, we're in a recession, and who knows, it seems like everybody is fear everywhere we look. And so I think that people, other entrepreneurs, what we can expect, ladies, is for other entrepreneurs, be they men or women, would be open to your feedback, to your direct approach. Yeah. Right? I mean, that's the whole premise. I love it. Now, one of the things, and I know our time's running short, but I want to get to this. You talk about leveraging people, systems, and tools. So let's just say that one of our beautiful attendees here says, I'm doing this. This is the thing that I'm taking from this summit, and I'm doing this. Of course, they can reach out to you, obviously get the book. I'm just wondering if you could share on just a little deeper as to how they would manage this in terms of database and or systems. Yeah.
I mean, I think the beautiful thing about this is that these professionals they don't have a lot of time to meet with you. This isn't like a friendship that you need to spend a year developing before you can ask them for referrals. Like, you're coming in, you're getting one introduction to them. You're setting one meeting. You're following up with one phone call to see how you can add value. And then you're circling back to give them an idea of what they could interject into their client experience that you're offering. Like, this doesn't take a lot of time. So I would say, look for something that is taking a lot of time. Maybe it's your social media, maybe it's other things, maybe it's your paperwork, and say, what could I actually, and my guess is just through kind of an honest examination, you can find time for one more meeting a week. You can, right? All of us can. And this is just a very high powered meeting. And I don't mean to intimidate anybody by that. It's like you have to meet with a big fancy attorney to do this. It could be with a carpet cleaner. It could be like we don't need to overthink this. It's just somebody who has a relationship with somebody just before they buy or sell, right? Like it can be a handyman. Like we don't have to overthink that. Oh man, I need to go buy a new power suit so I can go meet at an attorney's office. Like if you want to, right? But it could just be a painter, right? It could be somebody who, again, whose work precedes somebody listing a home.
Yes.
Right? And our job is just to add value to, like, get a warm introduction, add value to their business, and then add value to their client experience, make them better at what they do, and watch what happens.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Now I'm going to ask you to share where people can find you, but I do want to just say one thing. I love somewhere I saw this, that your goal is to fill minds with truth, which we've definitely approached truth today, fill their hearts with love, and fill lives with service. And so talk to me about where that thought process, which I am in alignment with 100%.
It's a late mentor of mine. He's since passed. Thomas S. Monson is his name. And he just described that a happy and successful life is to fill your mind with truth, fill your heart with love, and fill your life with service. And it's just become a kind of a personal mantra of mine, is that if I do those things, I'm constantly filling my mind with truth, my heart with love, and my life with service, that good things will happen. So
exactly. And I think that is what passion is. And I can tell you're passionate. Where can people find you, Justin?
So my website is thinkbiggerre.com. On there, you can get a link to my book. You can also, I have what's called a referral score, which tells you how many opportunities are sitting in your database right now based on how many people are in there and how many referrals you're currently getting. It's just a quick diagnostic tool that I think is helpful for a lot of people. So just go to my website again, thinkbiggerre, like real estate, thinkbiggerre.com. You'll see a button that says referral score. That's probably the easiest way for us to interact.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure. Thank you, Jan, so much for the opportunity.